This is the once-in-a-lifetime chance you have been waiting for to create the life you've been envisioning. And while most people will choose to remain fearful and just totally bypass this chance, I'm going to tell you today exactly how to use it to transform your life forever. Hola, beautiful souls. Welcome back or welcome to my channel, where we merge the cosmos with self-development using astrology, spirituality, and wellness to become our highest selves every day. If that sounds like something you're interested in, don't forget to stick around by subscribing, liking, and hitting the bell so you don't miss future videos like this one. You can also follow me on social media for extra content, as well as follow the link in the description for birth chart readings and my free astrology cheat sheet that I just created to make astrology a bit more digestible for you guys. It's here. Everybody stay calm.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
Saturn is finally entering Aries after its approximate 2 to 3 year cycle through Pisces. But before we dive into that, it's important to understand why Saturn is so important. Saturn is a collective shifter. Saturn touches the collective because it takes so long to change zodiac signs. That means it's impacting a larger amount of people at one time. However, this doesn't mean that it does not impact us individually. It absolutely does. And at the end of the day, what happens on an individual level ends up bleeding into the collective and affecting the collective. It's important to understand that when Saturn is coming into the picture and coming into focus, there is a return to responsibility. You can kind of look at Saturn as your cosmic coach. A coach tends to give you tough love, tells you what you need to hear, and pushes you into action that you may not necessarily want to be pushed into, but it's for your greater good. It is for your development, and it is, at the end of the day, pushing you towards greatness. Because of that, Saturn will bring tests with it, but it will also bring amazing rewards. Doing our part to take advantage of a Saturn transit is to find the ways in which we can use these challenges and embrace these challenges in a way that is productive and positive for our own growth. So on May 25th, 2025, Saturn will be moving from Pisces into Aries. Now, Saturn is going to have a retrograde period where it briefly retrogrades into Pisces again for a little while into 2026, but then it will officially station direct in Aries in 2026. So we're still going to be feeling the onset of this energy very strongly. Just because it's going to retrograde back into Pisces later this year does not mean that this energy is small or irrelevant. Quite the opposite. With the time period of Saturn transiting through Pisces, we saw what I like to call a spiritual restructure. When we had Saturn moving through Pisces, I think we saw a deep spiritual restructure where a lot of people were revisiting their inner soul. There was a lot of introspection, emotional reflection, etc. going on. I think we had a return to creating spiritual boundaries, creating personal boundaries, and honoring your inner world. What spiritual truths did you discover about yourself that got you closer to your authenticity and got you closer to living in alignment? Because at the end of the day, Saturn brings tests with it that are specific to our personal journey in order for us to grow productively. With Saturn in Pisces, you may have returned to your spirituality, or you may have just gotten closer to yourself internally as a byproduct of the challenges that came with Saturn in Pisces. For example, maybe you lost friendships that were not good for you because they were taking you out of spiritual alignment, because they were not authentic to who you are, and you needed to learn how to let go of certain weight that does not serve you, certain connections that don't serve you, and actually interrupt and poison your inner world. Where did you need to create those boundaries? Where did you need to create more structure with yourself in order to be more in spiritual alignment? This was a big theme with Saturn in Pisces, but now that Saturn is going to be entering Aries on May 25th, we're going to see a wiping of the slate so that the slate is now clean. The reason for this is Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac cycle. It ends the astrological year, and we begin the new astrological year with Aries. Aries is representative of starting new things, initiating new pathways, and pioneering something that is true, authentic, and not necessarily seen before. Whereas Saturn and Pisces may have brought some type of endings or completion to our journey, now that we have that feeling of more solidarity with our inner world, now Aries is about carrying that authenticity and that solidarity in yourself into the external, physical, material realm. I see Saturn moving into Aries as the cosmic reset button. Imagine wiping your life's whiteboard clean and drawing a blueprint built by the real, authentic you, not the version that was shaped by fear, duty, people pleasing, other people's expectations, etc. This cosmic reset button is about starting fresh, radically, boldly, unapologetically, and authentically to who you truly are and who you've been wanting to be. Whereas that sounds exciting and everything, Aries can be known to be an impulsive, reckless energy. And this is where Saturn comes beautifully into the mix, because Saturn being in Aries, we're going to actually have more discipline, more desire to create discipline around the things that spark that intensity and that passion and that feeling of boldness within us. You might be finally feeling like you want to start that venture that you've been afraid to start. But if Saturn was not around, the Aries energy might cause you to make some really dire mistakes and some impulsive decisions around that big project that you want to take on, that big venture that you want to pursue. But because Saturn is in the picture, we're going to be able to instill more disciplinary routine habits and steps that are going to get us to where we want to be in a way that is not even more damaging to our lives. Now, not only is Saturn entering Aries, but at the time that it does, it will also be conjunct Neptune in Aries, which is a highly rare and highly significant event. Whereas I see Saturn entering Aries as the cosmic reset button, I see this conjunction with Neptune in Aries as the manifesting a new reality. So you're hitting the cosmic reset button so you can manifest a new reality for yourself, one that is more aligned with who you are. Because Neptune and Pisces are connected to our dream world, our inner visions, our inner world, our higher, sometimes lofty ideals of life. With Saturn now being conjunct Neptune in Aries, it's about building those dreams into real foundations in the physical realm. Whereas we may have done a lot of dreaming while Saturn was in Pisces, and we may have really tapped into our inner world through doing so, which is beautiful. Now, Saturn in Aries conjuncting Neptune in Aries is telling us it is no longer enough to just visualize and to dream about it and to just be part of your inner world. Now it's time to move that inner world to the outer world, to translate your inner truth into something that is real and tangible and create something fulfilling for you here in the physical. Whereas Piscean Neptunian energy sacrifices itself for others and tends to be the martyr, Aries is about standing out boldly, not being afraid to interrupt the norm and to potentially cause tension and create conflict because you are an interruptive force, because you are owning your truth and living your dreams and living your life authentically. You're going to inevitably interrupt other people, and Aries is okay with that. Living authentically can truly feel like an act of rebellion in our society, and Aries is going to be challenging you to live authentically and have the audacity to rebel in a world that wants you to just conform and to hide away and to be meek and timid and brainwashed. Aries says no, no more. You face your inner truth and you act on it unapologetically. And it's important to remember that a lot of times healthy conflict is what is necessary for actual growth to even happen. If things are always being swept under the rug and hidden, in this case, we're talking about your inner world, your authentic truth. If you're always hiding that and you're always being passive for the sake of trying to keep the peace or trying to not be the center of attention or create conflict, nothing productive comes from that. Nothing worthwhile comes from that. Aries says no more. We have the audacity to potentially garner conflict in order to actually have growth, in order to reach a place where we are allowed to be ourselves and we are allowed to pursue what we've always wanted to pursue without regret, without fear. It's in doing this that you will actually manifest that new reality and use this energy to your advantage, because you can get in touch with your inner world all you want. When Saturn was in Pisces, we were big on that spiritual restructuring for ourselves, really being introspective and reflecting internally. However, that does us no good if we are not now putting things into motion in the physical. When we talk about manifestation and actually creating a new reality for yourself is not just about the internal work. The internal work is so important. Restructuring your mindset, getting more in touch with yourself spiritually, working on your shadows, all of that is so important, yes. However, if you only stay on the level of doing inner work without actually putting things into action in reality, without actually getting the wheel turning, you are not creating any physical momentum towards the life that you want. Therefore, this transit of Saturn conjunct Neptune in Aries is telling you it is time to translate that inner world and put it into physical momentum to manifest that new reality. Now, I'm going to give you 4 empowering, actionable steps on how to use Saturn and Aries energy to transform your life daily. Number 1, set micro goals and build accountability and discipline with yourself. Saturn rewards consistency and accountability, starting with taking small, actionable steps daily to build discipline in yourself, to build that discipline muscle. Yes, Aries wants to see you channel your inner truth and be unapologetic and bold, etc. But Saturn wants you to do it responsibly in a way that guarantees long-term success, not just short-term gratification. An example of a way of doing this is, say that you want to start working out and working on your fitness levels and you're feeling really extra motivated to do that, and that's that Aries energy being infused in you. But you're getting so lofty and so carried away where you're like, yeah, I'm going to start going to the gym 6 days a week and running 3 days a week, and you have all this energy and all this passion and inspiration to actually move the needle, which is great. But you need to start small, because if you start too big and you bite off more than you can chew, you're going to choke. You're going to choke. And therefore, you're going to end up straying away from your goals and losing that excitement because you have burned yourself out and killed your own passion, basically. In this instance, you could start building micro goals by saying, okay, I'm gonna start with maybe taking a walk a couple times a week, making sure I get at least a 5,000 step walk in twice a week. 2 other days of the week, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to do an at-home workout, or even start with 3 days, whatever. You're going to tailor it to you, but these are micro goals, and you're going to start small. Your first couple workout sessions can be just 15 minutes, 30 minutes, but it's realizing that it's those little steps to build the discipline, to take it one small step at a time. Those are what's going to build your disciplinary muscle and your level of accountability with yourself to actually domino into your bigger goals in the future. It starts on the micro level. Number 2, prioritize building your sense of self-assurance and independence. Practice making decisions based purely on what you want, not fear, not guilt, not people-pleasing, not fear of standing out. For example, you could start with your personal style, the way that you dress. Maybe you can start implementing certain jewelry pieces that you've wanted to wear. Kind of rolling back into the previous point about things on the micro level. start small. Start small. So don't drastically change your entire style and then make yourself insecure to leave the house or anything. Start small. Maybe there's something with your makeup you've been wanting to do. Maybe you've been wanting to do your nails. Maybe you have certain jewelry that you like, but you don't know if it's too bold or it's too big or too colorful, whatever the case may be. Start wearing those things. Start expressing your personal style little by little and challenge yourself to leave the house, because it does no good if you just stay in your cave. Leave the house with that makeup, with that new lip color that you tried, with the earrings that you're wearing, with the new type of shirt that you wanted to try wearing. Leave the house, go out to a cafe and whatever, and you'll see just how much people don't care about the way that you're expressing yourself. And I'm not saying people don't care in like a really pessimistic way, but I mean that people might look at you, like give you a glance. You may even get someone who stares. Who knows? But most of the time, people are not really giving you as much of a thought as you think that they are. However, we have to see the proof of that. We have to prove to ourselves that that fear we've built within ourselves is not real. It's not actually rooted in any type of reality. We have just built that fear and blew it up in our own minds for various reasons. So the more that you go out and showcase yourself to the world, even though nobody's really watching like that, but it feels like we're showcasing ourselves to the world, right? Like we wear a bold lip color and then we go out in public, we're like sweating like,
oh my gosh, everyone's gonna stare at me. They're gonna think I'm weird because I'm wearing this crazy lip color.
But then the more that you do it and go out and see that nobody's treating you differently, nobody is really doing anything crazy, the worst that anyone will do usually is maybe give you a little glance or a little stare. And oh well, if they do, you realize, you learn that nothing bad is coming of that. It's all in your mind. So again, this builds your level of independence, your level of self-assurance and confidence that you need to, again, create the new reality, to create the life that you want. You must have a level of independence, self-assurance, and confidence. You cannot constantly need the outside world's validation to be who you are and to do what you want to do, or else you will never be who you are and do what you want to do. So a way to start practicing that on a micro level is by changing your personal style. That's just an example. You can translate that example into what is relevant for you. But do one small thing that scares you a little bit every day, but brings you closer to your true self by doing it. Number 3, move your body. Aries is the primal energy of astrology. It's connected to the planet Mars, and Mars is the raw primal life force energy that flows within us all. That's why Aries and Mars are so associated with the physical body and physical movement, and they're also associated with aggression and fighting and war, because that is our raw primal life force and the passion and the fire and the anger a lot of times that can run behind it. But it is so powerful to harness that energy. And at this time, with Saturn and Neptune and Aries being conjunct each other, we're going to really feel on some level this energy of Aries, and we're going to want to tap into it. Even if you don't necessarily feel energetic, it will be very important at this time to somehow connect to your body. Because going back again to creating the reality that you want, creating the life that you want, how are you going to do that? By feeling confident, by feeling strong, by feeling independent. And a beautiful way to do this, the foundational way to do this that will bleed into everything else in our lives, is our connection to our physical body. What we do for our physical bodies on a daily basis. And Aries only highlights the focus of that and the importance of that. Again, for everybody, this is going to be vastly different how you choose to do this. Maybe you've had a desire to get into dance classes and you've been scared. Now is the time to get into dance classes. That would be a beautiful way to build your confidence and to be more self-assured. Maybe it's going on regular walks. I know for myself, I've been going on a lot of walks lately. It's just been a thing where it has just felt right. And I've started to practice running again. That is so Aries energy, because I am not a fan of running, but I just got this massive, strong urge to start running because I felt like it would be so good for my mental and my physical health. And it's also important to me to feel strong in my body. When my body feels capable and feels strong, I feel strong. And then my actions correlate with that mindset. When I'm not working out and I feel weak and lethargic, that translates into my choices every day because I feel weak and incapable and lethargic. So therefore, that kills my motivation and makes me not want to do anything else. So whatever you choose to do to create more physical movement in your daily routine, doing so will increase that self-assurance and confidence that is much needed to translate into every other area of your life positively and, again, create the life that you want. Number 4, reframe your mindset around conflict and opposition. View it as a portal for growth, not a portal for disaster. You need to start asking yourself, am I shrinking to avoid discomfort? And start recognizing actively when you do this. I know this was a big thing for me. As a Pisces sun myself, I had to start recognizing moments where I was staying quiet, not because I felt that it was the right thing to do, but because I was trying to avoid discomfort. And a lot of times I was swallowing my own truth and choking on my own truth and my authenticity and my self-expression for the sake of not causing discomfort in other people. But guess what? Newsflash. People still became uncomfortable by things I was doing. People are always going to become uncomfortable and disrupted by you in some way or another. So start recognizing where you are choosing to shrink yourself in order to avoid discomfort with other people and in order to feel a fake, false sense of self-validation where you're like, okay, me and everybody, we're okay because I didn't say that thing. No, because that is how you kill your spirit. Aries is connected to our core spirit. Again, it's the first sign of the zodiac cycle, meaning it starts the astrological year, which means that it represents our first steps into this lifetime. It is associated with our base inner child. When you see a child moving about the world, you don't see them questioning what they should do. They don't know yet how to question things, how to kind of carry themselves with a moral compass, how to do the thing that everyone would think is right. They just do what feels authentic to them. They don't care about that stuff yet because they don't know how to care about that stuff yet. But a lot of times, we see the core of who we are truly represented in who we were when we were a toddler. And that is very much the energy that Aries encourages you to embrace and the energy that Aries is connected to. Saturn is also an energy that creates a lot of disruption for the greater good. So both Saturn and Aries, in very different ways. Saturn is the maturity of it. Aries is more so the inner child representation of it, but both have a common goal. A common goal to have the audacity to disrupt for the sake of self-development, for the sake of growth, for the sake of productivity and positive movement. Like I said earlier in this video as well, healthy conflict is what actually leads to positive, productive growth. Oftentimes, relationships become the deepest when we experience healthy conflict with one another and we overcome it. The same goes for everything. Conflict does not have to be a bad thing. Disrupting other people does not have to be seen as a bad thing. As long as you're not being an outright jerk and you're not ignorantly disrespecting other people, don't shrink yourself so much and cage yourself in just to try and appease everybody else, because that will get you nowhere. How are you planning to reset your life when Saturn enters Aries? What bold steps are you going to start taking on a daily basis? I would love to talk to you guys about it, so be sure to comment down below. And again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you learned anything from this video and took anything positive from this video, because you don't want to miss future ones like this. But until I see you next time, you can watch the following suggested videos to get a deeper dive into astrology, into your spiritual journey, and into empowering yourself and becoming your highest self. But until I see you next time, adios.